folks, Brian Shore, the Walleye Guys, and it's raining outside, so we're in the garage at the shop here. Gonna do a little more maintenance stuff today. Big tournament's coming up, championship one, so you gotta be prepared. Make sure you got good line on all your spools, all right? What I got here is the new Lew's Mach 1 speed spin. Good reel, really, affordable. It's like 60 bucks, a great starter reel if you're looking into getting into some of these Lew's reels. Super durable, they'll last you a long time. This one's about 8 ounces, 6-to-1. So we're gonna throw this on a St. Croix Icon 6/8 medium, extra fast snap jig rod, okay? What does that mean? Or why would I put those two together? The 6-to-1, that's gonna reel faster. So snap jigging, you're letting those glide baits fall on that slack line. Sometimes you'll see it get hit on the way down or you'll feel it. You wanna be able to pick up all that slack real fast and get a good hook set. So that 6-to-1 is gonna help me get that line reeled in quicker and get a quicker hook set versus the 5-to-1, which is gonna take an extra spin. So we already put a little backing on here. These Lew's reels are set up with basically a non-slip grip on the spool, so your line isn't gonna spin. But I don't need to put the whole 150-yard spool of line on here, which we're gonna use some Seaguar 10-pound Smackdown, all right? Finally got some in the flash green, so we're gonna put this on a few of these rods, jigging rods and snap jigging rods, so that we can visibly see that line twitch a little bit better versus the gray. When it's in low light conditions, that's a little tougher to see. And then we'll go 10 or 15 pound usually on my snap jigging rods. No more than 15, but you're really ripping those a lot. But I'm gonna put a Fluorocarbon Leader on it anyway, so if I'm getting into zebra mussels or rocks or structure, the only thing that's gonna be hitting most of that is the end, which is gonna be the leader anyway. First thing you want to do is get some backing on it. We've just put just go out and buy yourself some basic monofilament. I just have some Bass Pro 8-pound Excel, I believe it is. 6-7 bucks, you get like a 300-yard spool. Put whatever it is, 30-40 yards of backing on, because you don't need to use the whole 150 yards that comes on one of these spools. 100-yard spool is 300 feet of line. And 300 feet of line is a lot of line when you think about how far you're casting out. So if you don't need to use a full spool, you can always retie when you're with braid. You can retie and add. I have a whole bunch of them right here. You can see these are just leftover, some 10 or 15 pound Seagars. After I fill my spools, I have some left over. If I want to tie up certain things or use fishing line for whatever, I have this extra line. And if I just need to add some, to the back end of one, if I want to reverse the line from one reel to the other so I have fresh line, I can use some of that on there as well. So we got the backing on. Now we're going to tie a Alberta Knot, okay, from our backing to our main line. All right, so how do we do that? How do we do the Alberta Knot? Pretty simple. Grabbing some line. The line we're going to use is our main line. Okay, I built this little spool station here so it's slick. All the lines are going to come off the top of those spools onto your reel so that it's basically laying on there the same way it's been spooled up while it's been sitting on the shelf, so you don't get a lot of twist and loops in your line. You're going to create a loop. We'll zoom in on this here a little bit later, or try to. So now Alberta Knot is a good way to connect two lines together, a uni. I mean, there's several different lines, several different knots that work really well. The benefit to this is it keeps your knot small and thin, straight, lays down on the line, lays down on the spool, and it's going to go through your eyelets better. Now this is backing, so this is never going to see it anyway. So this knot isn't as important of being perfect, but I do want it flat so I don't have a bump that my other line, the main line, is going to lay on and catch on the spool. It's another reason you want to use a semi-small backing, but not so small you got to put a ton of it on, so you don't have a big knot. So we make a loop, we wrap it around it 9 times, we pinch it, we wrap it around the other end, going back the other direction, and then we just pull it tight. I don't want that to be a big wad there, so I'm going to grab the 2 tag ends, tighten those up just like that. And with my little fingernails, pull that down in there, and nice and tight. There you go. It's nice. It's very strong knot. It's flat. I don't need any tag end sticking out, especially because it's the backing. I don't want any extra line sticking out for this main line to catch on now. All right, now that we got the backing tied to the main line, my line is on the spool, or on this spool station I built here. I want it to come over the top, onto the reel, and around. So it's going to have that line laying the same way it's been laying on that spool on the shelf in the store or wherever you get it from. Now if you have a spooling station or the deal where you can take the reel off, lock it in and do that, that's great. Any way to help put that line on your spool tight. I'm just going to hold it, run it through 3 or 4 eyelets of this rod, just because you'll run it through all of them if you want. I just don't, this is a pretty long rod and I'm going to confine space here, but I'm just going to hold it up a little ways, pinch it with my fingers, and just start reeling this on. So you may want to stick a little rag or towel at your fingers. You know, if you're doing lead core or other type of lines, even the braid can get pretty hot, can burn you up. We're cruising this on here real easy. You can probably hear it coming off spool. This stuff matches the spool, so that's pretty. Pretty close to full. You don't want it so full that it's sticking out past this edge. Leave yourself a little 1/16 to 1/8 inch gap right there, and make sure this line is on here nice and tight. This, I can tell, you can squeeze it. It doesn't give at all. It's on there snug. I've got a pretty good grip on it right here between my thumb and forefinger. Put just a little more on, probably a little less than 1/8. There we go, and I can still see there's plenty left on that spool. Probably enough that I can do 2 reels like this. I'm only putting about 75 yards on out of the 150. You know, that's over, well over 100 something feet of line. That's plenty. You're not casting, you know, 50 to 100 feet. If you're rigging, maybe you'll have 100 feet and you need some more line on like that. But when you're talking a full spool, 300 feet or more, that's a lot of line. So you can get, you know, a couple spools out of that. Stuff isn't cheap. That's going to help you make it go a lot further. And when you're connecting braid to braid, you can just tie a knot and hook the 2 up, you know, run that Alberta Knot. There's no stretching it anyway. Obviously, if it's mono or something like that, you just want to replace it. It's going to break down over time into the sun. Braid's not going to do that. Fluorocarbon's not really going to do that neither. And especially if you have the colored line, the color actually acts as a UV protection. Just like putting sunscreen on, you have sunscreen on your lines. But this braid's going to last you forever, especially the Seaguar Smackdown. This stuff is awesome. Super, super thin diameter. So I can easily get away with a 15 or even a 20-pound test if I wanted, because the diameter is so small, it's going to cut through the water and it's going to act just like most of your 10-pound lines, but give you the strength of a 15 or 20-pound. So we're good there. I'm going to cut this. We're going to do a Seaguar Gold label. This is snap jigging rod, so I'm going to put a 15-pound leader, fluorocarbon leader on this, just because I know I'm going to be in a bunch of rocks and some heavier stuff. And so I can get away with that because, once again, the fluorocarbon Seaguar leaders have a smaller diameter, so that's about a 10-pound fluorocarbon diameter for most other brands. So I can get away with the heavier line once again. If you can get away with it, use it, especially if you're in rocks or zebra mussels and stuff like that, because you're going to get nicked up a little bit and you may not see it or feel it every time, and you don't want to lose that big one because you had a nick in your line. All right, time to put the leader on the business end. This is Seaguar's 15-pound new gold label, okay, fluorocarbon leader. This stuff is great. This is leader material. This is what it's made to do. Super strong, like I said, heavier pound test, smaller pound diameter. Comes in these really handy little, I think they're 25-yard spools. You know, throw a bunch of these in your boat, in your glove box or whatever. I'm gonna go with about 6-foot leader, 6-7 foot, and where I'm going has got some pretty clean water. So I would recommend at least a 6-foot, 6 to 8 foot lead. If you go a little longer, no big deal. Just means when you break off, you don't have to tie the whole leader back on. But if you get too much shorter and you're not getting bit, get a longer leader. Same thing. We're going to take the leader end of it here. All right, now we'll try to show you this. We're going to loop the line just like that. And what helps is if you just pinch it a little bit. Help that loop stay in there. And I'm going to pinch it up here. Take this in. I'm going to come through there. Give myself enough room. I like to put my pinky here just to kind of hold on to it so I don't end up closing my loop. Now you're going to take that line over the other line. As you can see, I got the loop and the end tied together here with my fingers, holding it down together. So this line just lays right across the top of it. You want to do this 7, 9 turns or so. This angle's not very good. Okay. Then you're going to stop it. Okay, and kind of see that's laying on there nice. Now I'm going to pinch that end down. Maybe you'd be able to see this better if I stand in front of it with my black shirt. Then I'm going to come back down right over that same line. Same deal, 8, 9, 10 times. 6, 7, 8, 9 times. Then you still have this loop. And come right back through it. The key here is make sure that line is laying on there nice and flat. Nice and tight. See that line is this smooth. It's a real nice flat knot. I'm gonna give the tag ends a little tug. They're good. Voila. And there you go. It's your Alberta knot tied to your leader. All right, so that's it. You can see it right there. We're all spooled up, ready to go. There's the knot. That's going to reel right through your eye. Let's go and spool, no problem. New loose Mach 1 spinning reel, speed spin. These things are awesome, real affordable. Check them out. Good one to be starting out on as you move your way up on the line of reels. Of course, they just get better as they go. But this is real good. I got complete confidence in using this on this rod in the tournament. So that's it. When you got a little rain day, time to take care of the business end of your reels with your line. One thing that connects you to the fish is your fishing line. That's the most important thing out there. Seaguar's got the best. Check it out. Stay tuned for some more tips, and we'll see you guys on the water.